What if someone told you that there was a place where you could learn anything for free, talk to anyone in the world, buy anything you want, and get paid for doing literally nothing at all? You might think that place doesn't exist, but if you're watching this right now, then you'd be wrong. Because that place is called the Internet, and it's the reason you can watch this video. So let me tell you the story of the Internet and why it became the most powerful force on Earth. Way back in the 1960s, a bunch of researchers were wondering if they could use computers to send messages to each other faster than regular mail. They called their project Packet, and after several years of tinkering, they managed to get two computers talking to each other using a system of interconnected nodes. The first message they sent was just LO, which stands for hello in binary code. But after they hit send, the system crashed. So maybe they should have started with H. Either way, after they figured out how to fix their crashy computer system, those researchers kept building and improving upon it throughout the 70s and 80s. And that S when university scientists around the world started using it to send email and collaborate on papers with each other. In other words, the Internet was born, but nobody knew it yet because it wasn't connected to anything or anyone. But everything changed when the British scientist Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web in 1989, which allowed anyone with a computer to access information on any other computer. In other words, a World Wide Web. That innovation meant that people outside of universities could finally start using the Internet. At first, people used it to read basic text files stored on web servers. But soon, they began creating websites, search engines, and online communities. Then one day in 1996, a guy named Justin Hall started a website called Links.net to share random thoughts and links to other cool websites he found. In many ways, it was the first social media site ever. And soon, other people started making their own personal websites, too, which created an early version of the World Wide Web that we know today. And as more people started using the Internet, scientists realized that they needed a better way for people to find their way around. So, in 1998, a few months before Google, another search engine called Yahoo was created. And with that, the age of the Internet began. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention something. While all this was happening, people were connecting to the Internet through something called dial-up, which required you to physically plug a device into your phone line to get an extremely slow connection. Not only did it take forever to load simple websites, but it also made really annoying noises while it was trying to connect you. But even so, people loved the Internet. It was fascinating to see these cool websites and graphics appear on your screen, one pixel at a time. And if you were lucky enough to have a friend who had cable, things would load much faster. Back in the 2000s, anytime someone told you that you had mail, a little song would play in your head. You've got mail. But, more importantly, you felt a sense of anticipation, knowing that someone had taken the time to write you a letter digitally. And since you could get hundreds of letters every day, it was kind of like Christmas every day. And although the internet had been around for over 30 years at that point, it was during the 2000s when it really started to take off. When all those .com companies that seemed like they were gone, not change the world, popped up left and right, such as Netflix, Twitter, and, of course, Facebook. Oh, and don't forget about YouTube, the place where you can watch videos of adorable cats getting into mischief. But even though the internet had become hugely popular by then, it was still a pretty boring place for the most part. People used it for work, school, and maybe occasionally checking out funny cat videos. But everything changed once smartphones started popping up everywhere. Suddenly, the internet wasn't just something you used at home or at school, but you could take it with you wherever you went. And that made it more likely that you'd stumble upon some crazy stuff. Like watching a music video that would go viral, or seeing a celebrity get roasted online for the entire world to see. And speaking of going viral, that's also when platforms like Reddit and 9gag started becoming popular. And those sites were basically like the Wild West of the internet, where people could post anything they wanted, and hopefully get a bunch of upvotes for their efforts. Of course, that also meant that sometimes awful stuff could spread across the internet within seconds, such as memes designed to offend people, or even inciting violence against certain groups. But despite all that, it was also during the 2010s when some truly heartwarming things happened online, too. People united together to help each other overcome difficult challenges. Strangers supported each other through tough times. Artists used the internet to reach fans directly without the help of record labels. And if you liked a certain type of thing, you could instantly find thousands of other people who liked the same thing as you, whether it be true crime, anime, or Pokemon cards. But as the internet grew, so did our obsession with it. These days, it's not unusual to see parents, teachers, and even doctors warn their patients to spend less time on their phones, because too much screen time can make you addicted. But the internet isn't necessarily the problem. Every other form of entertainment has always carried some risk with it. Movies can promote unrealistic expectations. Video games can desensitize you to violence. Books can put weird ideas in your head. The list goes on. The real issue is that because the internet is so easy to access, convenient, and mostly free, people have become more tolerant of its downsides. Take misinformation, for example. When newspapers print something that's not quite true, they usually have to pay millions of dollars to settle lawsuits. But if someone posts something false on the internet, the worst that usually happens is that they get laughed at. Not only that, but if you complain about it, people might accuse you of being a snowflake. But that's not the worst of it. These days, people seem to prefer their online identities over their real ones. Some people feel safer being anonymous online, but that also means that it's easier for them to bully other people. And some people are so obsessed with building up their online presence that they start posting ultra-filtered pictures of themselves so everyone will think they look perfect. But that just makes everyone else feel worse about themselves. These days, so much of our lives are documented online that it feels like the internet has become a sort of second life. And with great power comes great responsibility. If you're not careful, it's easy to get lost in the abyss of social media. And why it's important to be aware of how it works and how it affects you. And speaking of things you should be aware of, the internet isn't done evolving yet. Scientists are hard at work on merging it with artificial intelligence, wearable technology, virtual reality, and who knows what else. Who knows what's next? Maybe one day we'll be able to attend school from home or teleport to Mars or experience simulated realities that are indistinguishable from the real world. Mark Zuckerberg calls this the metaverse, although some people call it a dangerous distraction. So these days, the question isn't whether you should use the internet, but where you should use it. Because, thanks to the internet, you can now watch this video on your phone, tablet, smart TV, and even your car's infotainment center. And since you're watching this video, I'm gonna guess that you're probably a pretty smart person. Now, do me a favor. Click subscribe right here to learn something new. Or, if you want to support my work, consider becoming a member. Thank you.